Hello all. Welcome to yet another episode for the Aarla series for Navratri. Today we have with us Srividya, who is the founder of Eighth Element. She's also a wonderful fitness and lifestyle coach for women. We are so glad to have her here because it's going to be a lot of transformation stories she's going to share with us. And on to you. Hi Srividya.
Hi Vani.
Welcome. So good to see you.
Lovely meeting you here.
Thank you. Thanks a lot. Srividya, so tell me about your origin story. Like all superheroes, right? I look at you as a superhero yourself. What is the origin story? How did it all begin?
Thank you for asking, Vani. So, it's a great opportunity to going down my memory lane. And so it began, I think, after the birth of my second kid, when I could see that I was really obese. I weighed about 85 kilos.
Wow, okay.
And was struggling with a lot of lifestyle-related disorders, hypothyroidism, high cholesterol, and high blood pressure. And it was just like a red alert kind of a thing. Like a casual blood work drew up all of these alarms. And,
right.
I had to go to the doctor, and who said, this is like too much, you're going through a lot of health issues, and
wow, okay.
at an age of 32, right? So he said, you've got to be on lifelong medications, statins, and like a whole host of medications that he said. And I said, I'm just too young to do this. I said, bade him goodbye, and I said, I'm going to take care of this, because he said the other option was to change your lifestyle.
Right.
And he said, go through these medications for 3 months and let's see. And I said, no, I'm just going, and I'm going to take care of this on my own. So that's how my journey started, Vani. And I can tell you it was not easy at all, given that I had very young kids. I was living in the US, and my husband was working. He was traveling, few days at a time. To do this all by myself was very difficult, but I was determined to not take the path of medications and being
right.
on something that is lifelong. So that motivation really pushed me into trying many things. And of course, I tried every single diet out there, cut out carbs, and we all know that, right? So those are the kind of trials and errors that I tried on my own. Of course, I did lose a little bit of weight, but I was in a very unhappy space because I felt it was like a yo-yo thing. I would jump on one new diet on the market, and then I would see results, but then I could not sustain it. I would go back, pile on the weight again. So this was going on for a long time. And we relocated to India. My husband took a relocation package to Gurgaon. And my kids were like 5 and 2. I had in-laws living with me. You can already kind of imagine the stress I was going through. My husband was, again, a traveling husband. So just to escape from all of the stress, I used to take my kids to a nearby park, which was like a 300-meter oval, like a garden. They would play in the garden. I would go around the 300 meters in circles. One of the women who saw me consistently do this, like I would do this every day, not because I wanted to walk, but I wanted to escape from the stress. I just wanted to get away. So that pushed me to being more consistent, because I started enjoying that space that I had for myself. And this friend of mine said, hey, you're so consistent, why don't you try your hand at running? So I started walking, and then I would do like a minute of running. I would just pant and feel like passing out.
Wow.
I didn't have the stamina at that point, but I kept at it, right? So then I got into 10K events, half marathons. By that time, I had shifted to Chennai, and running scene was big in Chennai. I didn't know that. I came to Chennai like 15 years after, moving to the US. So I could see that it was all very different. So the running fever caught on. I did a few half marathons. I got into injuries. Then that taught me the importance of strength training.
Wow.
So I enrolled in strength training 2013. I did my half marathon, and then I got into a really, really bad injury. So I started strength training. And from there on, I just got hooked to lifting weights.
There's no looking back from there.
So 2013, I started my journey with strength training, and shifted all the way to 6 days of strength training, quit running completely, because just the feeling of lifting heavy weights in a gym that was dominated by men back then was so empowering. And I could see how it improved not just my physical health and my body composition from building muscles, but how it improved my mental health. I was able to manage stress better, overcome my day-to-day challenges better, feeling so strong inside and out. inexplicable feeling. So
Absolutely.
So after having gone through my transformation, I participated, of course, my strength training journey qualified me to participate in the National Powerlifting Championship in 2018. I won a silver medal. That was covered in the media. And a lot of women reached out saying, hey, you have hypothyroidism and you're still looking great. How did you manage it? Can you help us? So that's when I said, okay, even though I have a bachelor's in nutrition and dietetics, I have to kind of take this off from a very authentic space. So I went on to educate myself again, did precision nutrition level 1 nutrition coaching. Then I did a 1-year mentorship. Okay, one thing is transforming yourself, but transforming another human being
Absolutely.
who has a completely different lifestyle, goals, challenges, body, everything is different from your lived experience, right? So you've got to have a separate set of skills to coach another human being to transform. So I went through this 1-year mentorship on coaching skills, and I started the 8th element. So it's been 6 years now, Vani.
Wonderful. 8th element, why did you name it 8th element?
Okay, nice. Thanks for asking. So the 8th element, basically the element in the periodic table is oxygen.
Wow. Oh,
so
okay.
it's like breathing oxygen into you, but that's not the real reason. So you need a few elements to create your own transformation, and that would be your goals, your habits, hydration, recovery, sleep, stress management, and all of that. So 7 elements. And the 8th element is the coach who pieces all of this for you.
Wow. Okay. So when you're talking about your own journey, right? I mean, it's very inspirational and all of that, because when I reached out to you, before knowing what you all did with certification, it's just the transformation. Okay, if this person can do it for herself, she can empathize with the next person. So that was the biggest takeaway, because often we end up going to gyms where it's either a male coach who has a different body composition, always looking at the biceps in the mirror and stuff like that, right? Certain times it's intimidating, certain times it's like, this guy won't get what we want, right? I mean, can you relate to that? I know I might want to get pregnant, or I might be on the path of after postpartum and stuff like that, which male coaches might not understand. From at least theoretically they may, but not from a feeling perspective, right? They don't know what goes inside when all of these things happen. Or if there are other women as well, which are very far and few between in the gyms, right? Women coaches might be like one. I don't think they're called coaches, they're called trainers, right?
Yeah.
It could be, but that is more like, okay, do this 15 reps, do that 20 reps, they might go around and come back. So I never got that feeling, right? This person doesn't understand me. Why am I here, right? So when I saw that you were doing all of that, I was like, wow, this is something that's very, very different. That's how I had reached out to you during my own postpartum journey, right? So when you started out, when you were coaching other people, who was your first, I mean, we might not want to name persons, but how did you land up that first person that you wanted to coach, and what were your own learnings? Because you were like, okay, this worked for me, is not working for this person, right? You might have to shift your mindset and think from their shoes and stuff like that. How was their journey as a coach and a mentor?
Absolutely. Thanks. Very interesting question. So, yeah, I do have to get my reps in, right? So to speak, like theoretically, I have learned the stuff. Now, practical stuff, how do I go about doing it? So I built a program and I was basically coaching some of my friends, right? So to start with, relatives, friends who wanted to lose weight. And I could see within just 3 months of putting forth efforts, conscious efforts towards building habits, they were able to see the body composition changing, which gave me a lot of confidence.
Right.
And exactly like you said, Vani, I mean, even today I'm a learner. I can't say that I've learned everything. Every woman that I work with is a separate experience in itself for me. A learning experience, right? Because you may try something, it may not work, or it may work, which means you just have to amplify those efforts and keep going on. But time and again, you notice there are roadblocks, right? Every woman goes through different set of challenges, both internal as well as external environment wise. So you've got to kind of tweak the process, and that's where my learning comes from, right? So I try out a couple of things. Okay, so and then I use my clients' insights to collaborate and figure out what is the path forward from that. Right. So I don't think I can set this in in stone. It's never like that. We have a broad structure of the kind of skills that are going to help you, but the skills themselves are tweaked based on the individual.
Right. And when did you realize that? What was it an aha moment during a course of the journey, or was it like you knew this is how it's going to be from the first client itself?
Okay, so very, very good question, because I did hit a plateau in my coaching journey.
Wow, okay.
Right, so I coached a few women. Some of them could get to their transformation very easily. Some of them could not. And then I realized the gaps in my coaching. Right, so why am I not able to break into this woman and help her succeed? And that's when it dawned on me that I need to improve my coaching skills. And that's where I kind of joined the 1-year mentorship that I talked about. A mentor in the US who literally worked with me, went through every single client transformation that I worked on, gave feedback so I could tweak my process. And the other important, the gaps that I noticed in me were motivational interviewing skills. You know, it's about getting the answer from the client. It's not about, that's when I think I kind of moved from a trainer to actually being a coach.
Got it.
Not doling out diet plans, workout plans, that's not me. I am someone who coaches you to understand your own strengths and highlight that and help you figure out the answers by yourself. That's who a coach is.
Absolutely.
Who puts you in the driver's seat of your journey and not like say, hey, this is what I'm going to give you and you got to follow that. Right, so that's what I kind of learned. Motivational interviewing skills, learning to empathize with the client, right? So to think from their shoes. That's when it's going to succeed, right?
Absolutely.
If I'm going to sit on a high horse and say, hey, I'm going to give this, you've got to follow it, it's never going to work. So I kind of moved away from that mindset and bingo, the results were like incredible.
Amazing. So Srividya, when I was thinking about the series that I was going to interview people slated against these different goddesses that I've been working on for this book, I realized that, the journey of the Devis themselves during Navratri is not different Durgas I just pick for 9 days. It's about the journey of the different Rupams, from somebody who's a little girl to Siddhi Datri who blesses everybody and has the power to do that, right? Which means there are different phases that a woman also goes through, right? All of our lives, we are a little girl with great dreams, butterflies and unicorns, stuff like that, to motherhood and people who work, corporate life, dealing with external entities and stuff like that. So I'm sure you also meet different women in different phases of their life, right? And they might come from different perspectives of the problems they're facing with their health and stuff like that. So how do you tailor make these things, and what are the revelations that you came across when he's like, okay, a teenager thinks of the same way in a different way from a person who's 40 plus? How did that work out, and what are the learnings that you got from this?
Wow, okay, so such a big question. It's so difficult to answer in short, but I'll try my best. So the Devis that you talked about, right from a child to growing and then maturing and giving back to the society and all of that, I've worked with all kinds of Devis in that progression, right? So right from a 12-year-old who was my youngest client to right now I'm coaching a 66-year-old.
Wow.
So to answer your question, the coaching needs to cater to that individual based on the circumstances that they are in, their environment, and the biopsychosocial factors that act upon that individual, right? So again, it's not a one-size-fits-all approach at all. I listen to them and hear about their goals and plan the program accordingly.
Right.
So the learnings that I got, again, it's every client's journey is very inspiring, very insightful, and I think every woman that I worked with has given so much to me in terms of skills to handle, again, the next woman much better.
Absolutely. All right. Okay. On the same theme of Navaratri, right? While as a story or as a myth, when we are taught about these different Devis or Durgas, it's all about fighting some form of evil, right? The Asura could be Mahishasura and all of these people, Rakta Bij and all of them. One who comes again from a drop of blood. When I thought about it, it's more like these diet fads that you spoke about, right? So I finished one diet, I'm so fed up with all of not eating something, I go back to that and binge eat that, right? And then you put more weight. So I was able to relate these. I mean, then I realized that these demons are not, they are symbolizing those inside our head, right? And I'm sure most of the coaching that you do is all about the mindset, right? So, how do you deal with all these asuras, and what are the different type of asuras that you come across in your daily coaching
Interesting
sessions?
corollary there, Vani. So, so when you talk about Navratri, the Devi kind of grows in power and strength on the last day to conquer this demon on the outside.
Right.
And I would like to say that we women have so much, external environment and
always there.
internal environment are both important and need to be conducive to create a behavior change. With the external environment, of course, there are a few things that we can take back control, which
Right.
we think we don't have any control at all, which is probably meal prepping, all the physical skills, your nutrition,
Right.
meal prepping, meal planning, all of that. But what enables the external change is actually the change that you go through internally with your mindset. So when you talk about the Rakta Beej, that kind of comes back again and again, would be the mindset traps that we all go through.
Absolutely.
Vani. The self-doubts, limiting beliefs, procrastination mindset, perfectionist mindset, the infamous all or nothing thinking, failure or defeatist mindset. These are all the kind of traps that I help my women get out of parallelly while working on other skills, external skills, which makes this a more of a sustainable transformation. Because if you're not working on your mindset and just looking at your diet and your exercise, that's not going to create the change that you seek, or it may create the change, but you're more than likely to go back to your old lifestyle if you have not worked on your mindset. Right, so which can derail you. I'm sure you understand, right, Vani? This can time and again derail you from making progress. So those are all the kind of mindset traps that I help with.
I'm sure you'll also empathize with this as an individual. There are different situations wherein you might travel or you might fall sick, which necessitate that whole point where you are going to be out of your regimen, or you could be training, could be lifestyle, eating, whatever, right? And then there's always the trap at the end of it, where you don't get to go back and you go back to the original me that you were, right? Okay, we are just getting out of the sickness, let us eat some soul food or stuff like that. How do you get out of those kind of things? Because that's a very common thing, right? You don't go to gym for 10 days, 11th day is always a trap waiting for you, which will, if I don't make it on the 11th day, you're never going to make it, kind of thing, right? And that needs a lot of motivation to put your thing back. I'm sure you'll have a mantra for that you might tell your clients that, hey, do this, and you will be able to get that motivation, go back to, even if you're not feeling too well, or things like that. And women have the auntie flow showing up once a month for 3-4 days. How do you tell, or what are the 3-4 tips that you give women to get back on track when such traps exist?
Absolutely, that's actually one of the things that derails you from your journey, right? So you take forever to get back, and then you feel like, what's the point in showing up now? I might as well give up, right? That all or nothing thinking. So the first important thing is being very kind and gentle with yourself. Right. Be compassionate with yourself. That's something that I teach my women. Second thing is show up imperfectly. It doesn't matter. Even if you can just show up for 5 minutes on the 11th day that you're feeling better, that's okay. That's absolutely fine. Because from there, you're going to feel motivated.
Absolutely.
So action always comes before motivation, right? And the third important thing would be to pay a lot of attention to your recovery. When you're bouncing back from an illness or travel, it takes a lot of beating on your body, right? So it's important to do the right things to help you recover parallelly while you show up for your exercise. Like, for example, your nutrition, sleep, stress management. All of these are super important to help you come back stronger.
Right.
So don't just look at your diet and exercise, but holistically look at sleep and stress management as well, which actually are the most important things if you are looking for sustainable weight loss or a lifestyle transformation, or even plain habit building. If you're sleep deprived and you're not managing your stress well, those can be incredible derailers of your journey.
Absolutely. I also found a very interesting thing about your profile and the kind of people that you coach, right? I saw that you've taken fancy towards coaching 40 plus women, right? Who are not that much worried about themselves to begin with. They might have kids who go to school, a husband who goes to work, and themselves could be working or could be at home doing something on their own, and there might be in-laws, parents to take care of. And in this whole rigmarole, they lose themselves, right? It becomes taking care of all of these people in the home and the work and stuff, that they think that is their definition, but taking care of themselves, having me time, all of that gets lost somewhere. And you seem to have tapped this thing. How did you, I mean, was it just by sheer coincidence, or was it the kind of people who came to you, that demographic set by itself in your clientele? How did you tap that honey trap?
Thank you, Vani. So I would say it's a combination of a couple of things. One is, given that I'm going to be 50 soon, so
don't look it.
Thank you. So given my own experience and the age group that I fell in, I could see that women who reached out to me could relate to me better,
right?
And I could relate to that kind of age group much better also. Second thing is, of course, I mean, those are the two things. One is the women who reached out were in that 40 plus age range, and also given that I've also gone through similar experience, I could relate to them better also. The other important thing, like you rightly said, Vani, I mean, 40 plus women go through a lot, physically, mentally, emotionally, and there is nobody who understands them in their family, right? There are certain things you openly share, certain things you are just keeping to yourself, and you wish, God, I wish I had somebody who could listen to me and help me out.
Right.
It's that inner cry. They are not like showing it out at all. And typically when inside my coaching practice, when I am talking to them, many of them are breaking down.
Wow.
Right, emotionally, because everything like just comes out. And with the hormonal changes, perimenopause is a huge battle, and I can proudly say I just navigated this. It's a year since I got my last period, so I think I'm gifting menopause for my birthday. But the last 8 years have been crazy, and I can tell you I was only able to navigate them because of the incredible lifestyle changes that I've made for myself.
You knew what was coming, right? That's also the awareness of what perimenopause can do to you, right? So
absolutely. So again, it sneaks up on you, Vani. It's not like, hey,
you're
now
super
from
prepared,
here on,
that,
you're going to go through perimenopause. It was never like that. I would say a few years into it is when I started realizing something was different about me. The sudden belly fat gain, hot flashes, irritability, mood swings, the urgency to use the bathroom often. This felt so different. Suddenly I felt like, oh my God, I'm aging too faster than I imagined. And that's when I had to call upon new set of skills, like pay a lot more attention to my sleep, stress management, and my recovery, because those struggled a lot. Right. Even though my nutrition were in order and I was showing up perfectly for my exercise, without the second layer of skills, I could not navigate that phase.
Wow.
So I went on to certify for the sleep, stress management, and recovery coaching to kind of equip myself with those skills so that I can coach my women better. So this way I could relate to them even better. And then now I had like the perfect peri-menopausal toolkit to help my women.
And how have they been received? I mean, what has been their response? And when you give them like recovery toolkit and stuff like that, they're like, what is that kind of this thing that they come up with? And what is the mindset that they're receiving all this when you coach them?
They totally bought it, Vani, because they could see that they were struggling a lot. On the surface, it seemed all nice and dandy, but inside they were like hurting a lot.
Wow, okay.
Emotionally, on the verge of a breakdown all the time, being very vulnerable, and, mentally, again, lacking focus, alertness. They were just basically living day to day, not prioritizing themselves. So I had to like say, hey, you've got to take care of yourself. You've got to have your cup brimming, and only then can you give.
True, very true.
Every woman that I coached had their cup running low, Vani. And so when we started putting this together in a very structured and systematic way, and told them that, hey, this is the toolkit, it's a success formula for you. And they could see from sleeping better, everything improved. Their energy, their cravings were low, hunger patterns were more regulated, they were no longer irritable, they were a better person for themselves and for the people around them. They were able to manage stress better, handle their day-to-day challenges better. So much good comes out of taking care of yourself.
When you're talking about the cup brimming to give more, it gave me a visualization that around such women, there are always so many people to snatch the cup out of you, right? So you might have also had to basically coach them on saying, hey, I'm going through, so guys around me expect ABC from me, and trying to work on these skills, right? How do you coach to communicate with the people around you? Because one is I can transform myself, but if the people around me are not going to take notice or appreciate me or acknowledge that, okay, you're working on yourself while taking care of us, might not be 100%, but then is there also a mental shift that you tell them to expect or communicate with the people around them when they are going through such transformation? How does that happen?
Great question, Vani. So the realization actually comes through as we go through the program.
Right.
When
okay.
they realize they want to put forth efforts, but there are roadblocks. Some of them could be internal roadblocks. Many are external as well, right? So you've got to learn to draw boundaries, learn to prioritize yourself, juggle your priorities. When two are in the front burner, two have to go to the back burner.
Absolutely.
And you've got to be okay doing that, right? So some of the things my women learn is saying no to many things. Right? Not be a people pleaser anymore. Not sitting down and browsing on your phone when you could be walking if you have the energy. If you're not feeling great, that's okay to take rest. Again, that's the other big thing, Vani. Women think that they are not good enough.
Like they are not doing syndrome that keeps sneaking up, right?
They are not doing enough. Right. Even though they may have fulfilled so many different roles, they would have
always
done
feel
amazing.
Short
yeah, I always feel short, right? At the end of the day, like, what did I accomplish? I don't feel great. Because of their own personal journey, they feel like they've not taken care of themselves. So no matter what they do to the outside world, at the end of the day, if they've not taken care of themselves, they feel like very guilty.
The sense of accomplishment still doesn't set in.
I feel like a failure. That's the narrative that I hear from my women, Vani. I feel like a failure. I feel miserable. I feel guilty when I go to bed, and I'm not functioning great. But despite that, I'm giving to my family, and I'm feeling not appreciated
enough
as much as I would have liked. So they are looking for external validation, right?
And not giving enough internal validation either.
Exactly. Not recognizing their strengths, and the people around them are not recognizing them. So it's like a double whammy. Right. So these are all the kind of skills I teach my women.
So do they reach to a level where they realize that, okay, if I validate myself internally, that is good enough for me and I've arrived, I don't really care about? Is that the state that you push them towards?
Slowly, it's a progression. Again, it's not going to be an overnight change. But when they start putting forth efforts towards taking care of themselves, they reap those benefits, right?
Absolutely.
And their body rewards them multifold. And they feel great, their mood is better, their energy is better. So slowly they realize, oh wow, okay, actually I had this in me to take care of myself. I just didn't prioritize myself. So when that internal shift happens that, hey, I've got to prioritize myself, slowly these habits come along as well. And then they get to a point where, hey, I don't have to please the people around me anymore. It's not like they are demanding. I'm the one forcing this on myself, saying,
absolutely,
I've got to do above and beyond to please the people around me. So the amazing thing is when you transform, Vani, the people around you transform also. When you are assertive, they get it. Okay, this woman should not be messed with,
Right, absolutely. I think it's about taking a pause, right? And I'm since I've gone through your coaching, I know that you've used this technique in various different ways. Before eating or when you feel like super down and stuff like that. How much is, if you can tell the viewers what taking a pause means and how much it's nothing. I mean, it doesn't require a lot of skills or anything external like a gym or stuff like that. It's within you. Can you tell me what taking a pause means and also how effective and how life-changing it can be?
Absolutely, Vani. So it was definitely an incredible skill for me. First of all, a pause is basically, a barrier between the trigger and your impulsive reaction. Right. So we are all existing day to day, not even thinking about what we are doing. Right. It's just like an autopilot routine that just kicks off in the morning. Right. But if we were to practice mindfulness, basically that's what it helps you with, right? When you pause, it gives you a chance to be a little bit more aware of your environment, both external as well as internal, and then it puts you in the driving seat to make the choices that you want for yourself.
Right.
So when you pause, suddenly it's whatever action you take is no longer mindless.
Absolutely.
Right? So you're mindful now, and then you can kind of take stock of everything, the situation that you're in, and decide what path to take. Right. So the pause can come in handy when you're eating. Right before eating, if you paused, you can notice, are you feeling hungry? Why are you reaching out for this? What is the trigger? should I say a yes or a no to this food in front of me? So many things can come out of it. Second thing, when you're talking about emotional regulation, you're caught in a very, very difficult situation and you're like right about getting ready to be very angry and say a few words. What if you paused for a second? Right? So again, that's a barrier between the trigger and the impulse, and you're no longer reacting but responding.
Right.
It gives you a chance to basically just self-reflect.
Absolutely. Srividya, we have an interesting exercise now, or rather an activity, because it's an activity book. So I'm going to pass this book to you and take you to a page which has all the 9 Devis. I want you to quickly glimpse it and tell me if you were to relate to one of them or 2 of them, whom would you relate to these Devis the best? So that's the activity for you.
Very interesting book, definitely.
Thank you. Thanks
really
a lot.
Appreciate all the effort that has gone into this. That's a tough one. I mean, we all have a combination of Devis within us.
Absolutely.
So given that I work with women and I help them, I build confidence and hope in them that they have all the capabilities within them, the strength within them to take care of the demons within as well as outside of them. I would say maybe a combination of Katyayani and Kalaratri, Siddhidatri.
I know, that's quite a few of them. But yeah, I mean, understanding your profile, right? Siddhidatri especially, right? She grants wisdom and a lot of spiritual enlightenment to people around her, her devotees. I think more than coaching, I think it's a lot of enlightenment that you do, Srividya, because all your mentees, they learn about themselves for the first time from you, which is a very, very unique thing about what you do, right? You make them learn about themselves so that they can act upon themselves to be a better version of themselves, right? If I can sum it up. Through your journey, if you were to leave our audience with 3 important aspects, or 3 important virtues or values that have helped you to reach where you are, what would that be?
Okay, that's a tough one. So 3, so the top one would be commitment towards your health and fitness journey. Whatever be your goal, commitment is what takes you there. Second thing is not depend on inspiration, motivation, discipline. You don't need any of that. You just need tiny habits.
Absolutely.
Right? Tiny actions. And third important thing is losing perfectionism. It's okay to be imperfect. The world around you is imperfect. Why do we expect perfectionism out of us?
Absolutely.
Right? I think so. Losing that perfectionism and guilt. These 2 are major derailers in a woman's journey. So losing those and embracing imperfectionism would be my top 3, attributes that I would have all women kind of focus on.
All right. Thanks a lot, Srividya.
Thank you,
I think
Vani.
it's been wonderful. So before we part, I want to give this gift to you.
Oh, wow. Thank you so much.
You get to take the activity book that you just worked upon. And this is the Navratri toad that comes with my art. So thanks
Lovely.
a lot.
Thank you so much,
So
Vani.
nice to have you.
It was a great conversation and really appreciate this opportunity.
Thank you and happy Navratri to all
Thank
of you.
you.